Welcome to Crown TV. Immerse yourself with a captivating audio from our stories. We provide an alternative way to read books in audio. We upload many audiobooks as possible, from bestsellers to timeless classic. Subscribe and stay tuned for new upload.
Episode 66. Alex booked the hotel? Manager Hood smiled with embarrassment and was left speechless. He had paid such a high price to personally give Alex those 2 bottles of Louis XIV, but he hadn't expected that Darren Rogers would think the bottles had been brought specifically for him. However, there was nothing he could do, as it wouldn't be appropriate for him to argue with Darren over the bottles in front of Alex. Looking at the smiling Darren, Manager Hood became suspicious. What was the relationship between this young man and Alex, he thought. Darren was definitely Alex's subordinate. The manager's level was not high enough for Alex to address him in person, so he was only fit to talk to his subordinate. Thinking of this, Manager Hood's respect for Alex deepened. "It's my honor to have everyone come to my restaurant. Let me propose a toast to you all." Manager Hood told the waiter to open a bottle of Louis XIV and pour some wine for everyone at the table. He raised his glass to everyone. "A drink with Manager Hood. I'll remember his good intentions with all my heart," Darren said with a smile, and then took a drink from his wine glass. "Thank you," Manager Hood said, and continued to clink his glass with each of the others. "What the hell do you think a subordinate of Alex is worth? What I need is for Alex to remember me," the manager thought. Manager Hood appeared polite on the surface while he toasted with Donna and her aunts. He had no interest in them. But when he toasted with Alex's girlfriend Debbie and her mother Carla, his smile was sincere. When it was finally Alex's turn to be toasted, Manager Hood bowed even lower. His smile became even more brilliant, as he was flattered and honored by Alex's company. "It was such a big advantage for Alex to follow me. If I wasn't here, Manager Hood would not treat him like this," Darren thought as he sneered to himself. Manager Hood's attitude also surprised Lisa and the others. That boy Alex is something else. Not only did Darren agree to eat with him, but Manager Hood is treating him with such courtesy, Lisa thought. She felt that the manager was making too much of a sacrifice. But she realized that since Alex was a guest of Darren's, he couldn't possibly ignore the poor loser. That also proved how much power Darren had. When it was Lisa's turn for a toast, the manager walked up to her. Lisa noticed that he was very handsome and had delicate skin, which was exactly what she was attracted to. She had been too distracted to pay attention to his appearance when they had been talking in the hall. Lisa came up with an idea. Manager Hood was very respectful to that loser. As she was Darren's girlfriend's mother, and Darren had a much higher social position than Alex, she could take a risk with the manager. Even if she did something that displeased him, he wouldn't dare say anything. "Hello, Manager Hood. I'm Donna's mother," Lisa said in a sultry voice as she stared at him and gently touched his hand. His hand felt tender to her. "Ugh, you're so old and you're taking advantage of me," he thought. Manager Hood's face revealed a trace of astonishment as he looked awkwardly at Lisa, feeling that this middle-aged woman was too disgusting for him. However, he didn't dare show his feelings in front of Alex. Lisa shamelessly continued to try to touch him, but the manager wanted to slap her away. "Because of my relationship with Darren and my daughter, Manager Hood won't dare to publicly push me away," she thought. This time Lisa was even bolder. She found an excuse to touch his arm a few times. Manager Hood quickly left after drinking with Lisa. He felt relieved that he had finally escaped from her clutches. But he hadn't expected that her 2 sisters would try to do the same. They had both also attempted to use his toast to secretly take advantage of him. After the toast, Manager Hood quickly said a few polite words. As he looked at Lisa and her 2 middle-aged sisters staring at him, all the hair on his body stood on end. "I wonder what else Darren is going to come up with," Lisa said as she and her sisters praised Darren together. "If it wasn't for him, how could they eat at such a nice restaurant?" Lisa snorted coldly as she looked at Alex and the other 2 whispering to each other as if no one else existed. "Some people only know how to eat, And don't even think about who made it possible for them to sit in the most luxurious room, eat the best cuisine, and drink red wine that costs $6,000 per bottle. This kind of person is really pitiful, she said in a low voice. Alex raised his head and looked at Lisa unhappily. Debbie pulled at him gently. It's not that big of a deal. You've got a bad temper. We let you guys eat for free, yet you guys still have the nerve to glare at me, she said. Lisa was not afraid of Alex at all. Forget it. Don't bother with someone like Alex who has no morals, Natalie, one of Donna's aunts, advised her sister. To be able to make you worry like this, there's no one else like Alex, interrupted Fiona, who is another one of Donna's aunts. Alex only thought that these aunties blew hot air, and he didn't care what they said. Manager Hood wanted to say a few more words to Alex, but Darren had been happily chatting with him for a long time. The perverted aunties also squeezed Manager Hood's middle and took advantage by touching him from time to time. If it weren't for the women's relationship with Alex, he would kick them out of the restaurant if they dared to touch him again. As they walked out, a large truck stopped at the side door. The restaurant staff were unloading the goods. They paused to look at the fresh fish, beef, seafood, and vegetables. The ingredients in our restaurant are all imported from Europe, Japan, and other countries from around the world. Once the goods arrive at the port, they can be transported to a restaurant within 3 hours. It's definitely the freshest and most delicious food in New York City, Manager Hood said to Alex and the others. Manager Hood, you are too polite. I just glanced at the truck and you're giving me a detailed introduction to your food. I'll ask my dad to come over to your place to eat next time. Darren smiled and patted him on the shoulder. He always felt that Manager Hood was being polite to him because of his father. This young fellow is truly narcissistic. I'm telling you about our products, but are you worthy of them? If Alex wasn't here, would you dream of asking me this? With your dad's income level, our restaurant doesn't care about it. Do you think your dad's that awesome? Ridiculous, Hood thought. He respectfully watched Alex and the others walk away. Then he walked back into the restaurant. Thinking back to how he had treated Alex, he felt quite pleased with himself. Alex, didn't you already book a hotel? Where is it? I'll take Donna's aunties over there right now, Darren asked with raised eyebrows. What? He booked the hotel? Lisa said in surprise. She glanced at Alex and muttered, What good hotel could he possibly find? We finally came to New York to have some fun. Will it be good enough to stay there? Mom, don't think like that. Alex's hotel booking isn't bad. Donna purposefully said loudly to her mother so that she could criticize Alex even more harshly when she saw the hotel that he had booked. Donna glanced at Alex with a smile. Alex, what hotel did you book? She asked. The Azalea Guest House, Alex said lightly. He didn't want to talk to this family anymore. If it wasn't for his promise yesterday to help them book a hotel, he would have left them behind and taken Debbie and her mother away. Azalea Guest House? Donna asked Darren if he knew it, but he shook his head. The most famous hotel in the country was the Azalea Guest House. Because it was not open to ordinary guests, people like Donna and Darren had not heard of it. What, Donna, haven't you heard about this hotel? Oh my, he must have found a small hotel somewhere. How could we go to such a place? We don't even know if it's safe or not. Let Alex and Debbie go there. They're used to living in that kind of place. Lisa truly felt that the hotel that Alex had found would not be good enough for them. Alex didn't say anything and just smiled. It would be perfect if they didn't go, he thought. Mom, let's go look. The name doesn't sound so bad, Donna said, trying to persuade her mother. Lisa listened to her daughter's words and decided to take a look at the hotel. After getting into the car, Donna and the others headed toward the Azalea Guest House, according to their map. Alex, Debbie, Carla, and the others got in a taxi and headed toward the hotel as well. In Darren's car, Lisa let Darren first take them for a ride around New York City to see the evening scenery. As he drove his BMW leisurely along the wide streets, they saw Central Park, the sparkling water in the river, and the sounds from people sitting along the bank. This made Lisa and her sisters sigh deeply at the beauty of the city. That hotel is so beautiful. Lisa pointed at the majestic building outside the window and added, It would be great if we could stay there. By saying this, she was also hinting to Darren that she liked it. Darren glanced out the window. It was the Berkeley Hotel. That's the Berkeley Hotel, which is one of the most high-end hotels in the city. It's usually occupied by the most opulent people. Even the cheapest room would cost more than $5,000 a night. Darren smiled lightly. How could he not understand what Lisa meant? If it was only Lisa on her own, he would have let her stay at the Berkeley, but she brought her 2 sisters. Even if he had a lot of power, he wouldn't be willing to spend 3 times the amount of money. Lisa didn't let her disappointment show. It appeared that there was still quite a gap between Darren and the top families that she had imagined. Let's go look at the hotel Alex picked out. If it's not good, I'll book a different hotel for you guys. As he said this, Darren drove his car toward Azalea Guest House. Episode 67. No problem with Darren's help. Azalea Guest House was an antique courtyard-style hotel located at the southernmost edge of New York City. By the time Darren's car arrived, Alex and the others had already settled in. Everything had been arranged, so they just needed to check in. After parking, Darren called Alex, who quickly came out and led them in through the gate to the Azalea Guest House. It was already dark. In the courtyard, pine and cypress branches hung in the shadows over the winding garden path and a pool of water. On the surface of the water, there were floating lotus leaves with pink lotus flowers. This place is quite pretty, Donna thought as she looked at the scenery around her. I knew he couldn't pick out a hotel, but it's clean here. We finally made it to New York. Why do we have to stay in a bungalow, though? We have so many of them in our country, Lisa thought. Although Azalea Guest House was not as unbearable as she had imagined, she still didn't feel that it was good enough. She liked hotels that were tall buildings like the Berkeley, and not bungalow style like the Azalea Guest House, but she didn't see a point in speaking her mind. Although they didn't know how expensive the Azalea Guest House was, they understood that in a metropolis like New York, a hotel like this would not be bad. It might not be comparable to Berkeley Hotel, but it was unlikely that Darren could book a better one. Even though Lisa and the other 2 couldn't stop complaining, they still ended up staying at the hotel. After a long day, they were all truly tired. The next day, Lisa and her 2 sisters finished washing up and followed her out of the room. Although this hotel is a bungalow, it's still quite comfortable to sleep in, Natalie said as she was still a bit pleasantly surprised. What's there to feel comfortable about? We were too tired yesterday, so we'll all feel this way, Fiona said, curling her lips. Hey, don't you feel that this hotel doesn't have a lot of people? Last night I had nothing better to do, so I walked around it and found that less than half the rooms were lit up. They have such a big hotel, but so few guests. I'm really curious as to what they're relying on to make money, she added. Well, this is the hotel that Debbie's boyfriend found, so it can't be that good. If it was good, how could he possibly have brought us here? I think the hotel is about to close down. Probably because no one comes to stay here. As it's about to close, it's got cheaper prices. The kid found a deal, Lisa said, sure of herself. Natalie and Fiona nodded. I asked the attendants last night if they had male escorts here. They said no. That really pisses me off, Lisa whispered to them. Where are we going to find a male escort? Last night I dreamed of that manager Hood at the Sunset Restaurant. If I could get him into my bed, it would be perfect, Natalie said hopefully. Me too. Manager Hood is too cool, Fiona said with an infatuated look. You two have such good prospects, but don't worry. If there's a chance in the future, we'll definitely make him our plaything. We'll look for him in the city for the next 2 days, and you two will definitely have fun with him. Lisa's heart was itching as well. Hello, ladies. Are you on your way to go eat? The dining area of our hotel is next to the courtyard. I'll have the attendants take you there. All the food is free of charge, the receptionist said warmly when she saw Lisa and the others. No need, Lisa said, tactfully rejecting the receptionist's good intentions. A restaurant that's about to close down, what could there be that's good to eat? It's free, so it must be cheap food, she thought. Although the hotel was on the verge of closing, the receptionist and waitress were really attractive. At that moment, Debbie's mother, Carla, walked out as well. "Hello, our hotel offers free food and drinks. It's by the courtyard. I'll have the waiter take you there," the receptionist said as she approached Carla. She had been instructed that this was an important guest that must be treated well. Carla was happy to eat a free meal. The receptionist took her to the courtyard, while Lisa and the other two snickered and walked away. "Look at this big garden. There are so few people walking around at such a good hour in the morning. The food and drinks are free, just perfect for lowly people like Carla and her group. Let's go. The three of us will go to eat at a better place," said Lisa. "Do you think we'll find toast and eggs?" she asked the other two proudly. "Let's go look for some," they chimed. "That's fine. After we finish eating, let's take a good stroll around the city and see where we can find male escorts. I'll let you two ladies have a good time." The three women laughed as they talked to each other, walking out of the Azalea guest house. A week passed by quickly. Since Lisa and the others looked down on the Azalea guest house, they had not eaten a single meal there. They had indeed heard of a place with male escorts. The three of them had gone twice, which cost them over $6,000. Although Lisa's family had little money, if she spent too much this time, it might arouse her husband's suspicions. So she didn't dare to overuse her bank account. That day, they saw Carla again and noticed that her appearance had improved in the past week. She had become much more spirited. The three of them found it quite strange. "Are you going to have breakfast by the courtyard? The food there is delicious," Carla invited them enthusiastically. "Forget it. You're used to eating chicken liver and pickles all day at home, but we feel that the smell is too strong, so we're eating somewhere else." Lisa looked at Carla with disdain, then took Natalie and Fiona out of the Azalea guest house. After they finished their meal, they began to stroll around and window shop at the shopping malls in the city. By 11:30, their stomachs were growling. "There's a restaurant over there. Let's go eat lunch." Lisa was the richest, so naturally she was the leader of the group of three. They went wherever she wanted to go. As the three of them spoke with each other, they walked toward the nearby restaurant. Lisa had only taken a few steps when she stopped. She saw a woman who looked very familiar. "Joanne?" she called out hesitantly. When the woman in front of her turned around, Lisa was overjoyed. The woman was indeed Joanne Ludlow. Lisa's family owned a pharmaceutical company, and they were currently discussing a partnership with a private hospital in their area. Joanne was the wife of the hospital's CEO. Negotiations had reached a stalemate, so if she could get Joanne's support, then this partnership would not be a problem. "Joanne, it's really you." Lisa quickly walked over to her. "I didn't expect you to be in New York, too. What a coincidence." "It's you, Lisa. Where are you going?" Joanne said amiably. Lisa was stuck. She wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to discuss the partnership. Wouldn't it be too cheap if they went to the restaurant she had seen across the street? She came up with an idea and said, "We're going to eat. Joanne, you haven't eaten either. Let's go to the Sunset Restaurant. The atmosphere there is pretty good." Lisa remembered a big dinner she'd had at Sunset Restaurant on her first day in New York. "If I hadn't met Joanne today, I wouldn't have remembered that we ate there," she cursed to herself. "Sunset? It's pretty upscale there, and they have such pricey food. I think we should find a place to eat nearby," Joanne said with a smile. She had heard from her New York friends that Sunset was one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. It was not something that ordinary people could afford. Joanne was not confident. "This is even better. If I were to treat her to a meal at Sunset Restaurant, she would look up to me. Even if I asked her for help, she would be too embarrassed to refuse," thought Lisa. "It's all right, Joanne. Don't worry. It's not easy for us to meet in a different city. I'm treating you to a meal. You can't reject me. Let's go," Lisa said. She hailed a taxi and took them all to Sunset. "It's really good here. We ate here recently." As Lisa spoke, she led Joanne into the restaurant. The waiting area was already filled to the brim with more than 10 people in line. Lisa, there's a long wait. Why don't we find another restaurant? Joanne was still a little nervous. In terms of status and wealth, Lisa couldn't even compare to her. And even she was a little scared to come here. She didn't believe that Lisa could afford this place. Hey, Joanne, what are you looking for? Wait a minute, we'll have a seat soon, Lisa said calmly. The last time that they had come here, there hadn't been any free tables, but they had managed to get one. This time she believed she could again solve that problem just by mentioning Darren's name. I'll be right back. Lisa gave Joanne a wink before confidently walking up to the hostess. Where's she going? Joanne asked Fiona. You can't just ask the hostess to find us a seat. Is she going to do that? It's impossible. She thinks this is our city. This is going to be a joke. Joanne was very anxious. If she had known Lisa was so brainless, she wouldn't have come with her. Joanne, don't worry. Other people might not be able to, but Lisa can definitely do it, Fiona confidently said. Her daughter is dating an important man, and the last time we came here for dinner, we relied on him to get us seats. Who is her daughter's boyfriend? Is he very powerful? Joanne asked curiously. His name is Darren. He's terrific. The last time we came here, the manager found a spot for us without a word, and all the food was free. He even offered us a toast with a very exclusive red wine. His attitude is so humble, Natalie said to Joanne. That's why Lisa will definitely be fine. Episode 68. Give me a free meal. Lisa had already walked up to the hostess. Miss, please arrange a seat for us. My friends and I have been waiting for a few minutes, she said in a very proper tone. I'm sorry, please wait in line. When it's your turn, we'll arrange a table for you, the hostess said politely. What? I need a place right now. Don't you know me? Let me tell you that I'm someone you can't afford to offend. If you don't arrange a place for me as soon as possible, I can tell you very clearly that you might lose your job, Lisa said aggressively. She felt that it was beneath her that a hostess could refuse a request. Ma'am, I hope you can follow our rules, said the hostess with a smile and continued. We really don't have a seat right now. If you want to eat here, you need to line up first. We'll arrange a table for you. I want to talk to your manager. I want to see if he can find a seat for me, Lisa said adamantly. She thought that the hostess definitely hadn't seen them the other day, so it would be useless for her to explain everything. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Our manager has his own matters to attend to. If you have anything to say, just say it to me, said the hostess. This middle-aged woman is obviously looking for trouble. If she thinks she can bully her way in, she'll be turned away, thought the hostess. You're such a naive little girl, Lisa choked with anger. She really couldn't handle this woman and looked at her worriedly. As you can see, we've come here with a friend. If today's meal is ruined, our family will lose $150,000 to $300,000. Lisa admitted bitterly to increase the importance of this meal and pressure the hostess. Can you make room for me now? When our business is done, I'll give you a big tip of $100. As you can see, all the tables are already occupied. There is only one supreme room left, but it's too expensive. The minimum price is $8,000, so I'm sure you won't want it. I really have no choice, the hostess said awkwardly. A supreme room is empty? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Lisa said in high spirits. The last time they'd eaten in that room, their meal had been free. Since they'd been able to eat for free in a supreme room, why shouldn't they eat there again? Are you sure you want to eat in a supreme room? The reason why a supreme room was still available was that it cost so much. Lisa didn't look like someone who could afford to eat there, no matter how well dressed she was. What are you saying? It's not like we've never eaten in a supreme room before. Do you think we'll go back on our word or something? Lisa said with dissatisfaction. Hearing how confident she was, the hostess didn't dare to say anything else and ordered someone to bring Lisa and the others to the room. Lisa, what's the minimum order for a supreme room? Is it really all right? Joanne asked Lisa in a low voice. Although Lisa had ordered the room, Joanne was still very nervous. "Joanne, don't worry, I'll treat you. Your mission today is to eat and enjoy yourself. Don't worry about anything else," Lisa said with a relaxed smile. The waiter led them to the room. Joanne was amazed by the luxurious decor inside. Seeing her expression, Lisa felt even more satisfied. "We came here last week. Let's order the same thing as last time," Lisa said to the waiter. "Ah, but there are only 4 of you this time. If you order that much, you might not be able to eat it all," the waiter kindly said to them. "If I tell you to go get this order, you do it. If we can't finish, we'll have leftovers. You worry a lot," Lisa said with a great deal of anxiety. Only then did the waiter leave. "You're too generous," Joanne said in defeat. Seeing that Lisa had so much confidence and that she had indeed eaten in a Supreme room before, Joanne felt more at ease. "Hey, look at what you're saying. You're not used to being here. When you come a few more times, you'll know that it's just like that here," Lisa said modestly, but her heart was already beating fast. Very soon, one delicacy after another was brought to the table. "Hurry and try it all, Joanne. The cuisine here is the most authentic. The oysters are pretty good," Lisa said with a look of understanding. In reality, how could she know whether the cuisine was good or not? At that moment, the door to the room was pushed open, and a young man walked in with a smile. It was Manager Hood. Those who were able to order a Supreme room were all esteemed guests, so whenever there was someone eating in there, he would personally come to offer them a toast. "Hello, everyone." Manager Hood was stunned when he saw that the perverted ladies, including Lisa, had returned. How could it be them? Manager Hood couldn't help but feel angry. When Lisa and her sisters saw the manager, they were overjoyed, and a perverted expression appeared on their faces. "Is the food delicious? I'll make a toast. If you need anything, feel free to tell me," Manager Hood said as he picked up a glass of beer from the table. He just wanted to finish the toast and leave. Looking at these ladies, he felt disgusted. "Manager Hood, wait a minute. The wine isn't very good. Since you want to toast us, you have to bring some decent wine. Let's have some of that Louis XIV from last time," Lisa said, looking at him meaningfully. "Okay, I'll go and get it now," Manager Hood said politely. He turned around and walked out of the room. Staying in there for too long was a mental blow for him. "This manager is really handsome," Joanne couldn't help but whisper. "Joanne, you like him too. As long as you're sincere, I can make him accompany you for 2 days." Lisa smiled mysteriously at Joanne as she raised her eyebrows. "Are you joking? He's such a big manager. Why would he listen to you?" Joanne's heart was quite moved. She felt a little scared, as this was also a test for Lisa. "You won't believe it. I'll let you see if he listens to me or not later on," Lisa said proudly. "By the way, Joanne, if I can really get the manager to accompany you for 2 days, then what about our partnership?" "Oh, sure. My husband listens to me a lot," Joanne said with a coy smile. At this moment, Manager Hood walked in with a bottle of Louis XIV. He opened it and poured some for everyone. He walked up to Lisa and toasted her. "Manager Hood, you drink so quickly. Look, a drop of wine spilled on your shirt. Come, let me wipe it for you," said Lisa. She playfully wanted to put her hand on his chest. "I can do it myself." The manager took a step back and wiped himself. "This wine is really strong. I'm dizzy." Lisa touched her forehead and fell toward him. She wanted to fall into his arms, but he quickly dodged her. Lisa stumbled and almost bumped into the table. "Your reaction was pretty fast. I didn't manage to kill you," she thought. The manager pretended that nothing had happened as he smiled at Lisa and clinked wine glasses with the others. They all wanted to take advantage of him, but he didn't let them succeed. Manager Hood said a few polite words and then left. Don't worry, Joanne. I'll definitely get him to accompany you for 2 days," Lisa said, smiling awkwardly. Seeing Joanne's ugly expression, she was embarrassed. She thought it was probably because Darren wasn't there that day, so the manager didn't want them to take advantage of her generosity. Joanne didn't really take this matter to heart. The cuisine there was indeed pretty good, so she ate happily. After they ate and drank their fill, Lisa walked next to Joanne as they went to leave. When they reached the main entrance, the waiter caught up with them from behind. "I'm sorry, but your bill has not been settled yet. Please settle your bill first before leaving," he said politely as he stood in front of Lisa and the others. Lisa's face turned red. The waiter wanted to settle the bill with her in front of Joanne. Wasn't this deliberately making her lose face? "Are you new? Do I need to spend money here? I'll go back and ask Manager Hood," Lisa said as she felt that there was nothing wrong with what she had done. She almost scared the waiter with her words. Luckily, the manager walked over, asked the waiter something, and then looked at Lisa's calm expression. Manager Hood really wanted to slap Lisa on the face because of her words. "Please settle your bill," Manager Hood said with a serious expression. "Lisa, this..." Joanne looked at Lisa with worry. "Didn't you say you didn't need to pay for the meal? What's going on now?" thought Joanne. "Don't worry," Lisa comforted her. No one knew where she found her confidence, but she looked at the manager and said, "Manager Hood, did you forget? Didn't you give us a free meal the last time we came here?" "Yes, but there was a reason for that exemption. I'm sorry, please settle the bill first," he said again while staring at Lisa. As he carefully thought about their last visit, it seemed that Alex had only talked to Debbie and her mother while they ate, and he had ignored everyone else. With his many years of experience in understanding people, Manager Hood was sure that Lisa and her group didn't have much to do with Alex. If it was Debbie and her mother coming to eat that day, Manager Hood would definitely let them leave without paying. But Lisa and the others were just ordinary people, so how could he let them eat in a Supreme room for nothing? "What's the matter with Manager Hood today? Didn't you treat us so well because of Darren the last time?" Lisa thought. "Okay, Manager Hood, I didn't expect you to be so unreasonable. I'll phone him right now. What do you want me to say to him?" Lisa glared at the manager, took out her phone, and stepped aside to make the call. "Just you wait. It's clearly a small matter, yet you insist on getting into trouble. I want to see how you're going to explain it all to him when he comes," Lisa said coldly to the manager after she hung up. "Don't worry, Joanne. When he arrives, everything will be sorted out. We just ate at this place. If we make them look bad, they won't be happy. We'll just have to wait and see," Lisa said. "Oh, that's good." Joanne's heart calmed down when she saw that Lisa and the others were so undisturbed. But Manager Hood's heart was beating really hard. Could it be that she was calling Alex just now? Did I make a mistake? Is this woman really related to Alex? He thought. He was nervously waiting for this person to arrive. He had made up his mind that if it really was Alex, he would apologize to them. It didn't matter if he lost face, as it was still better than offending Alex. A young man walked in through the door. Lisa hurried over and greeted him. "Darren, you're finally here. If you hadn't come, this would have killed me." Episode 69. Big Bill and Strange Rules. "Darren, do you see that woman? She's a business partner for our family. I lost face badly in front of her just now. If you help me save face, I'll hand her over to you," Lisa whispered into his ear. Darren walked up to Manager Hood. The manager was much more relaxed now. Originally, he was afraid that Lisa would call Alex to come over, but it turned out to be Darren. Manager Hood scolded him in his heart. Last time, Darren had felt good about himself, and had made Manager Hood think that he had been Alex's friend. Later, Manager Hood had investigated it, and found out that this was not the case at all. "This is my daughter's boyfriend. He'll solve this for you. Joanne, you can relax now, right?" Lisa said with a smile. Joanne greeted Darren by nodding her head. "Manager Hood, now that I'm here, let's just forget about this matter," Darren said to the manager with a smile. He had felt that the moment he had appeared, Manager Hood's attitude would be softened. "Forget it? You must be joking." Manager Hood laughed coldly. "Since you're here, then you can please settle the bill quickly. What's going on with Manager Hood today? He wasn't like this the last time. Could it be that he doesn't remember me after a week? Thought Darren. Manager Hood, don't you remember me? I'm Darren. My dad's company is the Rogers Construction Company, Darren said. Oh. Manager Hood had a look of realization on his face. It's good that you remember. The misunderstanding's been resolved. I'll remember your good intentions today. Don't worry, I'll visit you often in the future, Darren said with a smile. He then turned to Lisa. We can leave now. Darren was about to leave with Lisa and the others who were praising him. Stop, Manager Hood cried out. What the hell do you mean that the misunderstanding is resolved? When did I let you go? You don't need to send us off. We can just leave by ourselves, Darren said with a smile. What the heck? Just how narcissistic is this fellow? Manager Hood thought as he grabbed Darren's shoulder forcefully. Ouch, what are you doing? Exclaimed Darren. You can't leave until you've paid the bill. If you continue playing tricks on me, I'll call the police, Manager Hood said angrily. Manager Hood, you didn't take the wrong medicine today, did you? Aren't you mistaken? I'm Darren. And you still want me to pay? He asked in surprise. I don't care who pays. I'll hand you over to the police if you don't pay today, Manager Hood said. He became more and more annoyed as he looked at Lisa and the others. Are you going to pay the bill or not? Or don't you want to pay the bill? It seems like these perverts want to go back on their word, Manager Hood thought as he took out his phone and was about to call the police. Lisa and the others were dumbfounded. Joanne, who was standing to the side, also turned red. In such a high-end restaurant, she felt extremely humiliated and embarrassed. Don't call the police. I'll pay their bill for them, Darren said as he glared at the manager. He still didn't understand why the man had changed so much. Okay, it's good that someone is paying, Manager Hood said as he took the bill from the waiter and gave it to Darren. It's $17,630 in total, so you can just give me $17,000. $17,000? Darren was so shocked that his tonsils almost flew out. He quickly looked at the bill. It was very detailed. Just one bottle of Louis XIV was worth more than $6,000, so it was not surprising that the bill was so much money. Darren gritted his teeth as he glanced at Lisa and cursed in his heart. You dimwit. You know how to enjoy yourself. You dared to drink red wine worth $6,000. Weren't you afraid of getting drunk to death? He thought. Lisa's heart trembled when she heard the price of $17,000. When she saw Joanne glance at her speechlessly, Lisa smiled coyly in embarrassment and said, Don't worry, I'll settle this matter. Joanne snorted and turned her head away. Lisa walked up to Darren and asked uncertainly, No problem, right? Yup. Darren was full of anger, but it was still on him to pay. He looked at Lisa and wanted to give her a good scolding, but she was Donna's mother after all. He was just a student with a bit of money, and $17,000 was hardly a small sum. Sir, all the money you have here on your credit cards, in addition to the cash, is $12,000. There's still $5,000 left to pay. How will you pay for the rest? The hostess politely said as she handed all his credit cards back to Darren. What? My cards only have that much money? Darren was very surprised as he did not normally pay attention to his balance. With a glance at the hostess's computer, he knew that it was indeed the case. Right now, he didn't dare to ask for money from his family, so he could only cast a pleading gaze at Lisa. She came to New York for fun, so she must have some money with her. Lisa, there's still about $5,000 left. Why don't you put it on your card? Darren said quietly, but he wasn't particularly embarrassed. After all, he had already paid most of the bill. To be honest, $5,000 wasn't a huge sum for Lisa. However, she had already spent a huge amount of money in the past few days. If she spent another $5,000, her husband would definitely suspect that she might have found a male escort. Darren's face turned extremely ugly when she didn't say anything in response. Hell, you dare to order such expensive dishes without money? He thought. What about the two aunties? Darren's eyes shifted toward Fiona and Natalie. They don't have any money on them either, Lisa said awkwardly. She was worried too, as her gaze locked onto Joanne. Wasn't Joanne the only one who currently had money? The surrounding customers began to make comments. Hey, how dare you come to Sunset Restaurant without money? You're all crazy, said one. These country bumpkins are really something. Do they really think that the fancy restaurants in New York are as cheap as those in the countryside? Said another. Where did they get the courage to eat in a Supreme room? I think they wanted to eat for free from the very beginning, exclaimed another. The customers that were eating nearby all looked at Lisa and the others with a smirk as they whispered to each other. Joanne, we don't have enough money right now. Look. Lisa walked up to Joanne with a stiff smile. When Joanne heard Lisa asking her for money, the anger in her heart surged. You really treated me to a good meal, Joanne said with a sneer. Then she snorted and walked up to the hostess. She handed over her credit card and swiped the remaining $5,000. After she was done, Joanne covered her face with her hands and walked quickly toward the door. She felt that it was too embarrassing for her to remain in there. Joanne, wait for me. Leave me your number and I'll return the money to you, Lisa said loudly. There's no need. Joanne turned her head and looked at Lisa with a cold smile. I must be really out of my mind today. That's why I came to eat with you. Goodbye. Don't be like this. Today was an accident. I'll find another time to meet up with you and we'll talk about the partnership. Lisa was afraid that this would affect their future business dealings. Partnership? I don't think our hospital needs that kind of luck. You should find someone else to work with instead, Joanne said as she waved her hand to get a taxi, climbed in and left. Hearing Joanne's words, Lisa knew that her family's business had failed. Her heart felt like it was being frozen in an ice house. Fiona and Natalie also blamed themselves. Don't be too sad. Should I take you back now? Darren looked at Lisa's sad expression and felt that she had deserved it. If she didn't have the money, then she shouldn't have eaten at such an expensive restaurant. Now her business had failed, and she even made him make a fool of himself in front of so many people. No need. We'll take a taxi back. I still have to thank you for today, Darren, Lisa said dejectedly. She then got to a taxi and went back to the hotel with her sisters. When they arrived at the Azalea guest house, Lisa went to her room to rest. That day her business deal had failed, and she had suffered such a huge humiliation. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Lisa, Fiona, and the others gathered again to go have a meal, but they were no longer in the mood to go out to eat. As they walked past the front desk, the receptionist politely reminded them, I'm sorry to bother you, but the time of your stay will end tomorrow at noon. Please vacate your rooms before noon. It's finished? Lisa discussed the situation with Fiona and Natalie. Although the hotel was a bungalow and not their ideal luxury hotel, it was still quite comfortable, and they still wanted to stay for 2 more days. Can we stay in the room longer? Lisa asked. My apologies, but you can't stay in the room. Please forgive us, the receptionist politely said. We can't stay in the room? Did I hear that wrong? Why not? Are there any other available rooms in the guest house? Lisa asked in surprise. I'm sorry, if you want a new room, then you'll need Mr. Ambrose to get a room for you, the receptionist said with difficulty. We still need him? Lisa had no intention of bowing down to Alex. The rules in this hotel are quite odd. No wonder it's going to close soon, she thought. Fine. We'll leave tomorrow. In the worst case, Alex could just find them another hotel in the city. Are you going to dinner? Carla walked out and greeted Lisa and the others. We've had such great meals out these past few days that I can't eat much of anything anymore, so I'll go with you, Lisa said as she followed Carla to the courtyard. This place is pretty nice. Lisa and her sisters praised the decor. This time they were grateful for all the free food, so they ordered a few dishes without worry. "I didn't expect the food here to be so delicious," Lisa said. She and the others felt that this was the most delectable meal they had ever eaten in New York. It was even more delicious than the one they had eaten at Sunset Restaurant. Their table was filled with expensive delicacies such as abalone and lobster. They felt a little regret that they hadn't eaten at their hotel in the past few days. However, they comforted themselves with the thought that there was still a gap between the meals at their hotel and those at Sunset. After all, Sunset Restaurant's food was imported from various countries and could be transported from the port within 3 hours. Episode 70, All Because of Alex. Lisa and her 2 sisters finished their meal and followed Carla out. Once outside, they couldn't help but take a look at the staff who were unloading produce. They saw that there was lobster, sea cucumber, abalone, and other expensive ingredients in the truck, which seemed to be the same one they had seen days ago in front of the Sunset Restaurant. Where did all this stuff come from? It looks pretty good, the chef said as they studied the goods. The lobster's from Canada, the sea cucumbers from Australia, and the abalone's from Germany. Don't worry, everything's the world's best, the delivery man said. Let me see the documents for your shipment. Let me see when it arrived at the port. The delivery man quickly handed over a record book to a chef. This was the official data, and it recorded all the information of the shipment in detail. Hey, you don't trust us yet? The goods I'm giving you must be the best in New York. These goods were checked and accepted by customs an hour ago. They're definitely the freshest, the delivery man said with a smile. Okay, the chef said as they looked at the documents and nodded their heads in satisfaction. They had already picked out the ingredients that they needed and asked, "Where are you going to send the rest of this?" "We take them to the Sunset Restaurant first. Although they're leftovers, these are still top produce. I estimate that this hotel is the best in all of New York," the delivery man said as he loaded the remaining food into the truck. This scene stunned Lisa and the others. The produce for the Sunset Restaurant was chosen from their leftovers? Doesn't that mean that the food here is better than at Sunset? How is it possible that the cargo could be transported here within an hour of reaching port? She asked herself. When Lisa recalled the taste of the food that she had just enjoyed in the dining area, it really had been more delicious than what they had eaten at Sunset. Lisa, Fiona, and Natalie felt a great heartache. That meal at Sunset Restaurant had cost many thousands of dollars, and they had made big fools of themselves. They had never thought that they would be able to enjoy a feast that was worth so much money, but would be free of charge at Azalea Guest House. Plus, the ingredients were even fresher than those at Sunset. They had stayed in Azalea Guest House for a week for nothing, but they had never eaten a single meal there. When they thought about losing so much money all at once, Lisa and the others felt as if their hearts were being cut out bit by bit. "Are you all right?" Carla asked with concern. Why did the 3 of them turn so pale all of a sudden? "Mind your own business." Lisa gave Carla a hard look, thinking that Carla had been dining at the hotel all week. She looked at her with even more distaste, as if she had taken advantage of her. Walking around the garden path in the courtyard, Lisa and the others finally felt a little better. However, there was still one thing that they couldn't understand. Why was the Azalea Guest House restaurant so much more sophisticated than Sunset? This was just a rundown hotel that was about to shut down. At that moment, they happened to be near the hotel's front entrance. "I'm sorry, but please don't pass yet. You can take a detour to the other side," a man in a suit and shiny leather shoes said as he blocked their path. He looked like a staff member. "Oh, okay." Lisa saw how handsome this man was and agreed in a daze. She stood beside Fiona and her sisters. There were several staff members there, and all of them were tall and wore earphones. They wore serious expressions and said something into their earphones from time to time. A few minutes later, the staff members started getting nervous and looked towards the entrance. A flashy car with a red flag slowly drove up. A foreigner stepped out of the car. A man who looked like he was in charge went to shake hands with the foreigner. After exchanging a few pleasantries with the translator, the man in charge invited the foreigner to enter through Azalea Guesthouse's gate. Surprisingly, there were also a few reporters following behind them with cameras. A smartly dressed staff member stood nearby to protect them. As they walked ahead, the man in charge introduced the Azalea Guesthouse to the foreigners through translators. The foreigners looked at the surroundings and nodded from time to time. As they passed by Lisa and the others, they heard the man say, "This hotel is specially designed to receive the most respected guests. We've previously received the Secretary of State for Finance, the Chancellor of the University of Oxford, and the head of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization." The foreigner nodded and spoke in a foreign language. The translator quickly said, "Minister Yayatari said that he is honored to be able to stay in a place where so many distinguished people have stayed. He hopes that this trip to New York can attract more investment for EI Salvador." As the group spoke, they walked toward a large conference room by the courtyard. Lisa and the others were shocked when they heard their words. What kind of hotel is Azalea Guesthouse? They've even received powerful people such as foreign ministers and chancellors, they wondered. Thinking about how the receptionist had reminded them that they must leave their room, as well as the top ingredients in the hotel's dining area, Lisa felt more and more that Azalea Guesthouse was not as simple as they had imagined. Lisa opened her phone and searched for information about the hotel from the internet. When they saw the results, the sisters were completely dumbfounded. The words almost blinded them. They were actually staying in one of the top hotels in the world. It was no wonder that they were not able to extend their stay in the room, and that the food was even better than at Sunset Restaurant. Everything made more sense. This was a place that had received countless nobles and dignitaries. Ordinary people, even if they had money, wouldn't be able to book a room there. Yet these ladies from a small city had stayed there for a week. If they had known earlier, they would have felt better there. It was a pity that they had to leave the next day. Lisa's gaze shot toward Carla, as if she was a hungry dog that had seen bones. Her eyes lit up. I'll go back first, Carla said as she was terrified by her stare. Don't go, Carla. Are you leaving tomorrow as well? Lisa asked as she moved closer to her. Alex has already helped me pay. I can stay here for a few days, Carla said in a low voice. She felt that Lisa and the others were like hungry wolves. Their eyes were red, and they could eat her at any time. Carla, let your daughter's boyfriend help us out for a few more days. We want to stay here to keep you company. Lisa had changed her way of addressing her. She definitely couldn't use Alex, so her only hope was Carla. Carla, please help us talk to Alex. Did you forget that we were the ones who gave you the plane ticket? Said one sister. I believe Carla will definitely help us renew our room since we came to New York together, said another sister. The three sisters really wanted to stay for a few more days. After staying with so many great people, they'd be able to benefit from their spiritual energy. At the same time, they could boast to their friends and relatives and become the center of attention. All right. Carla wasn't the type to fuss about it, so she agreed. She gave Alex a call, asking him to get a new room for Lisa and the others. Previously, Debbie had told her that Alex's family background was also pretty good. At that time, Carla didn't really believe it, but she believed it now. However, Carla didn't know how big his family was, so she had to ask Debbie about it when she had time. Thank you, Carla. Take care. After Lisa and the others respectfully escorted Carla to her room, they strolled around the courtyard. Knowing that this was such an important hotel, they even felt that the hotel's bathroom was more fragrant than the flowers outside. The three sisters walked around and took fancy photographs, which would be evidence for their later claims that they had been to this hotel. After 2 hours of photographing, they finally returned to their rooms with satisfaction. I didn't expect Alex to be able to get a room at a great hotel. Now that I think about it, that kid is quite handsome, Fiona said as she sat on the bed and looked at the photo on her phone. At first, I saw that he was poorly dressed and didn't have a watch. I thought it was a pauper with a poor woman like Debbie. But now it seems that he isn't that simple, replied Natalie. I'm rich myself, but I've just asked how much it costs to stay here for a night, and it's more than $20,000. Who could possibly afford to spend that much money? Lisa pondered and said, Don't forget this is a particularly exclusive hotel. It's impossible to book a room without status. Yeah, I think it's strange now. Think about this. Why did Manager Hood treat us so courteously on our first day at Sunset Restaurant? It must have been out of respect for one of us. At first we all thought it was Darren, but it doesn't look like that's the case after what happened today, Natalie analyzed calmly. Only Alex. Lisa paused, then continued. I didn't think that Alex would hide himself so well at such a young age. That's right. Which of the normal rich kids aren't arrogant and cruel? How many of them can be calm and collected as he is? It seems like this Alex is no ordinary wealthy man. This kind of person is very powerful. He will definitely be very successful in the future, Fiona said, and the other two nodded in agreement. If only Donna could be with Alex. It seems like Carla and her daughter still don't know that Alex is from a top family. This is an opportunity. Lisa began to scheme. That's right. In front of Alex, Darren is nothing, said one sister. I'll tell Donna, although the chances are slim. But if I don't give it a try, I'll regret it for the rest of my life, Lisa said with a serious look in her eyes.
Thank you for listening to Crown TV. Please don't forget to subscribe, share and turn on the notification button.